Since I work, most of my work's been on global warming. The problem with global warming is it's such a huge thing that it feels like whatever we do as individuals is just pointless. Okay? And frankly, it must be said, whatever we do as individuals is pretty much just pointless. All right? Not that you shouldn't do it, and this is one of these paradoxes that I don't quite know how to explain. I mean, I know it's been important in my life to try and do all the things that I can to make my own life correct in these regards, you know, and I'm proud of the fact that I have a plaque on the wall for having built the most energy efficient house in Vermont the year it was built, and you know that it's virtually eat mostly nothing but local food, and that I drove the first hybrid car in the state, and so on and so forth. I'm proud of all that, but I try not to fool myself that actually that's how we're going to solve climate change. Because of this danger of feeling small, I've thought from the beginning that empowerment lay in organizing things like 350 that allowed people to be a part of something larger that was working off the same script and able to do some of the same things at the same time all over the world. And actually, we find it incredibly empowering. I mean, so any of us are, you know, liable to feel a little bit unempowered, okay, because we're, you know, solitary actors and up against the power of the fossil fuel. But think how unempowered you'd feel if you lived in Bangladesh, you know. You don't even create any carbon dioxide. You're so far outside the power structure of the world that you might as well not exist, you know, in that sense. And yet, by setting up this thing that allowed everyone to be doing everything at the same time, we've been able to rouse, to get everybody to feel, and correctly, like they were a part of something that might matter. In April, we're going to do this around the world, this day that focuses on places that have been impacted by climate change, so that people in those places can tell their story, and we can, in essence, say, you know, pay attention, no more of this. It's already too hard for us. We're already, our lives are getting wrecked. Stop it. Stop doing. Well, of course, this is one place where Vermont, and I hope you all, will be very crucial in telling this story. I mean, what happened last August in Vermont with Tropical Storm Irene was the absolute paradigmatic story of what's happening with climate change all over the world. And it'll be a very good day to have people, you know, in Vermont standing next to those, where there used to be those covered bridges, or making human bridges across rivers where there aren't bridges anymore, or doing, you know, down in the Intervale, digging sand out of, you know, the farm fields or whatever it is. And at the same time that people are doing that, you know, in El Salvador and Nicaragua, which had the worst flooding in their history 3 or 4 weeks later, last fall, 500 people dead, you know, hundreds of roads, or Thailand, which had the worst flooding in its history 3 or 4 weeks after that, flooding that did damage, get this, equivalent to 18% of Thailand's gross domestic product last year. I mean, just off the scale kinds of damage. And we need to be able to get everybody saying this stuff at the same time and making it heard. The point of the work of the fossil fuel industry, I think, is mostly to make people feel like they have no chance of making a difference in this fight, so they might as well shut up and go away. That those guys have so much money that they're going to win every fight and don't even bother. You know? And they've been quite successful like that in certain ways. They clearly own Congress. 500 people on Capitol Hill a week before last in referee shirts blowing a whistle on Congress was how we put it, calling a penalty, saying, look, it's not right, actually, that you take money from companies and then judge their interests. Yes, the Supreme Court has said that it's legal and they're Citizens United, but it's not right, and we're not going to accept it anymore. And that kind of just figuring out ways to kind of almost psych ourselves up to not just give in prematurely. That's what strikes me that empowerment's basically about.